Hello again. I'm at Snag Lake in southwestern Washington. I took a trip down to Portland to deliver a frame to a gallery, and I decided to do a little overnight SUV camping and get a couple plein air paintings in. This is a little area that has distributed camping with the Discovery Pass. Beautiful little area. I'm amazed there are no mosquitoes, being late summer. Sun's gonna set pretty soon. Got a couple hours. I need to find a place to park my SUV and set up camp. So I think I'm gonna go with this spot. I did a loop around the lake and I really like this view through the trees. I think the sun will last a little while. I'm just gonna go with an 8 by 10 inch panel, try to capture this beautiful side lit scene quickly. I'll try to pay attention how the light on the water and the light in the background shifts as the sun sets. But what I'm really drawn to is that stump with the bright red note, dried moss or dried shrubs, some kind of foliage. It's really beautiful. This view is also very nice, but there's no good place to stand to paint it. I'll grab some photos while I'm here though, and maybe do this one in the studio. Lots of little distributed campsites throughout this area, around this lake and nearby Western Lake. I'm going to start out with a turpentine wash. I'll use this big, broken in, natural bristle brush. It's about 1 inch wide. So even though it's a small panel, an 8 by 10, I'm still going to use the biggest brush I think I can handle for the job. It gives me a nice loose effect. I can't get too fiddly with the details, and I just don't have time for the details tonight. I'm going to zoom in on that one closest stump and just focus on that for this one. I'd like to do more of the scene. I'd like to catch more of that foreground bank, but I just don't have time for it. So I'll just brush in the main colors I see in the scene, which is burnt sienna and alizarin crimson. So I'll do burnt sienna for the water and then alizarin crimson for the stump. And then I'll go straight to mixing colors. I'm not going to bother with a sketch today. I'm scrubbing in the wash using artist turpentine with a little bit of pigment. I try to go fast and let the paint move around on the panel until I find something that looks right. I'm not too careful about the drawing at this stage. Once I have the general colors in place, then I clean my brush with a little bit of turpentine and wipe away the lightest lights. This creates a value pattern that will guide me through the rest of the painting. Alright, I've put away the cap on the turpentine and I got the Gamsol out. I've also got a little bit of liquid in the small cup. So I'll start to mix up the full colors. I'm mixing the colors based on the scene in front of me. I'm standing in pretty deep shade, so I need to be careful about value. It's a little hard to judge when you're in deep shade. And painting realistically, you can get away with color that's slightly off as long as your values are correct.
So I'm careful to group my values, compress my values, meaning I don't use the darkest dark or the lightest light like pure black or pure white. I try to keep my values close in range, so I set them side by side on my little side palette. I save my darkest dark and my lightest light for final accents, or I leave them out completely if possible.
Alright, I've got some colors mixed up here. I've got some lavenders, a dark and a light where the sky is reflecting on the water in the far distance. I've got some dark green, dark brown for the far water as it nears the far bank, it's in shadow. And then some grayed out green, grayed out brown, yellow green, yellow brown as the water comes forward. It's getting richer and more intense, and then I'll add more yellow and more burnt sienna as the water gets into the foreground, and maybe a little bit of cad yellow as well. I've got some greens for the bush, the little shrub on top of the stump. I've got some reds, and I'll add some straight yellow lemon as well for the dried out bright red bush on top of the stump. And then I have some stump colors here for the stump and the light. Here's the lightest light, white with just a little bit of cad yellow, then a warm brown, a little bit of burnt sienna added to that, and then some titanium white with these lavender colors added, just a touch of each. And then I'll use these also for the shadow on the stump. I think it'll give kind of a nice resonance across the painting if I use those notes in the foreground as well. I'm not going to try to paint the sky reflection on the foreground water. I'm just going to leave it as still water, even though as the wind blows it's disturbing the water and adding a lot of sky reflection to the foreground. I'm not going to try to capture that. Wind's picking up a little bit, so I've turned my easel to catch a little bit more of the reflected light. It's pretty dark here under the trees and the shade.
Deadbeat, bonfire, rain clouds and nightmares and twinkling stars.
You might notice I'm using a little bit of those lavender colors I mixed up for the far background, where the bank is in shade, the far bank is in shade, and I'm putting those into some of the mixes for the tree stump. I'll use some of it straight in the shadow of the tree stump where the shadow is deep, and then also where the light is hitting the tree and the tree is turning. There's some beautiful light lavender colors. Where the light is hitting it most directly, where it's brightest, I'm going to use just a little bit of cad yellow with titanium white for that, a warm white light, and then I'll slowly turn it out of the sun with some of those lavender shades. Try to keep that harmony. I may put a little bit of burnt sienna in there as well in spots just to turn it. And then the deep shadow will be a mix of alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue with maybe just a touch of transparent oxide brown.
Deadbeat, bonfire, rain clouds and nightmares and twinkling star. Hell no, I'm not coming back. past is gone and the future's unknown. God give me freedom or nothing at all, 'cause hello, I'm not coming back. Hello, I'm not coming back.
Well, the sun went down while I was there, so I didn't bother filming the wrap-up in the dark. I went and found a nice campsite, nice place to park my SUV, and spent a nice night. Wow, the stars are so bright when you're out in the mountains. Beautiful place, I'll definitely be going back. So here's where I left off the painting. There's some things I need to correct, but in general I like it. I like the warm harmony in the painting. And then that warm harmony really sets off the blues in the shadows on the trunk. So I just want to adjust the drawing a little bit. I can see that this reflection is not quite matching, so I need to adjust this just a little bit without losing the value pattern that I established. I also want to bump up the illusion that this is water in the foreground by maybe breaking up the reflection a little bit more. And then I might add a little bit of a bluish glaze to the far background to push that back. So I'll wrap it up and post the finished painting to my website. As always, thanks so much for joining me. If you like these videos, please share them with a friend, like, and subscribe. Well, here's where it ended up after a little bit of light touch-up. I added some of the grain to the stump, just re-establishing the lights and darks there, following the colors I captured on site, and then drawing in with some vibrant color, showing the cracks and the texture of the wood. I added this little sprig of grass, heightened the lights on this just a little bit, toned this reflection down just a little, and added more dark ripples across the water. Added just a light glaze of blue across the far background to push it back more. And lightened some patches just a little bit with a light yellow glaze. That's about all it took. Pretty successful plein air painting with just a little bit of touch-up required, and I signed it, of course. So I'll put it out on my website if you'd like to see a better image. I sell these little plein air paintings pretty cheap, so take a look, and really supports me, supports the channel if you want to buy something. Well, I really appreciate it. Thanks for following. Share it with a friend, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.